My name's Cara and I am the director of Synk magazine in Australia. Synk magazine is a publication that is created by people under the age of 25. We developed the concept about a year or so ago, and basically it gives young people an opportunity to get their creative achievements promoted and published somewhere in a professional setting that hopefully will meet a wide demographic. I would try to classify it as an alternative magazine. There are a few interviews and articles in there that would be considered as mainstream, especially in Australia, but my aim is to try and promote sort of more underground acts, so yeah, definitely alternative. Our main focus is music, art and youth culture, but we're trying to take it from a different angle, trying to promote those sort of things that are... For me personally, it's more based on creativity. Anything that I sort of see as slightly unique and a little bit outside the square will spark my attention, and therefore I'll want to write an article about it or want to chase up something about it. For example, in issue 2, we have an interview with that one guy, and if you know who that one guy is, he's quite different, quite alternative. It's more along the lines, so far it's been me hunting them down and finding them. I've got a team of, I suppose you could call them cool hunters or cool searchers, and they're just young people that basically just surf the net, constantly looking for unique things that we can potentially cover. All the people that contribute, as I've mentioned, are young people. We often we'll probably meet once or twice a week in rather large groups and just sit down and sort of nut out everything that we want to cover in the next edition and how we're going to go about it. If a young person comes to me and says, Cara, I love this artist, can we do something on them? Then generally I'll be the one that will follow it up and hunt them down and do all the networking to get that up and running. The designers, we have a design team and it's rather large, but we find that a lot of the times they can't attend meetings, or it might be a little difficult, so they often network via internet forums and stuff like that, and yeah, just sort of pass along all their work on that. As you can see, it's quite a small, compact little magazine, but basically what we are trying to achieve is having young people's work in the same environment as fairly established musicians and artists, so people will know, they'll be learning about they'll be learning about these new sort of artists at the same time as reading about musicians and artists that they enjoy. So, for example, this particular artist, Andrew, he was just a boy that went to my high school. He's just young, he's just 18, but as you can see, he's got fairly dynamic, amazing artwork. So having him on the front, in a cover, obviously gives him some promotion. Angelique Houtkamp, on the other side, is a really well-established Dutch tattoo artist. She's pretty cool and fairly difficult to obtain interviews with, so getting her was pretty exciting. At the same time, the cover artist, William, he's a Singaporean artist, and we managed to grab hold of him, and he was really cool. He was really keen on us covering him, so he allowed us to do that. I suppose everyone, I'm not going to lie when I say, I don't want everyone to know about it. Of course I want everyone to know about it, otherwise I wouldn't be here. But my main aim is that more young people get involved with it. It is a development model for young people, and having more young people involved in it and being able to enhance on their skills and develop, those ideas and stuff that they already have. That's my goal. It's extremely powerful, and sometimes, I suppose, it's funny because with my personal tastes, they might not be what anyone else really likes. I might really, really dig a band or something. Everyone else just thinks they suck, So it's really sort of difficult to, to pick and choose what I would like, but then at the same time what my audience will like as well. So sometimes, you know, you have to sort of put some bands or musicians that I really like in the scrap heap, and then, you know, choose something that ultimately other people will like. I'm sort of very anal about about writing styles and stuff like that, and I think that could potentially be a bit of a downfall. But I find that with, you know, with young people and the writing they contribute, I'll play around with it with my sort of journalistic, I don't know, you know, with my own approach, and just sort of, you know, play around with it. But I think in some ways my experience interviewing and stuff like that is a benefit. A lot of the times with a lot of artists, we'll do our interviews via the net. So the young people might give me a list of questions, and sometimes they might be really bad. Like, not quite bad questions. I can see what they're talking about, but the structure of them isn't quite right. So I'll play around with it, make it more readable and a little bit nicer for the actual artist, and then, you know, wait on their responses from that. I guess just try your hardest to get into everything you can. I've never studied journalism. I've never studied anything to do with media. I just sort of fell into it. With me, I snuck backstage at a concert and, you know, just interviewed a band on my mobile phone, and they were really cool. They were really receptive of that. And then from that, I sort of just started chasing it all up myself. So, I mean, you don't really need to have credentials or someone behind you to achieve your goals.
So just do it yourself.
Just
do it.
Just do it, because I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if I don't know, maybe credentials may not matter as such in comparison to an amazing portfolio full of work or prior interviews or artwork or, you know, stuff like that. Just go with it. I think that a lot of the time when bands do, I suppose, just attempt to be creative to have, you know, to gain that attention, a lot of the time it is fairly transparent. I think that you have to be pretty good to pull it off. I think that there are a lot of acts that incorporate different sort of sounds and stuff into their music that does sort of, you know, bring out that creativity that they have, but it has to be done in the right way. For example, you know, at the moment there's a lot of bands, like normal rock bands or whatever, that have quite a large, you know, like orchestral sort of sound behind it. And I'm finding that that's becoming more apparent and more frequent the more that I listen to music. I just suppose it just sort of does depend on the way that you come out with it. However, if you are a band or a musician and you have created something totally unique, original, thought-provoking, people will see it and people will pay attention to it because of that. I suppose everything is a learning experience, and this whole do-it-yourself thing, you obviously learn a lot of new things. You also make a lot of mistakes, so then you can sort of fix up those errors and stuff. And I think that if to maybe move on to a publisher and stuff like that, the magazine itself might want to be a little more, I guess, professional than what it really is, because at the moment we're all just learning. So maybe one day, once we all sort of get, you know exactly what we're doing, then a publisher might be good. But at the moment, doing it yourself's good. The do-it-yourself thing is sort of a funny way to describe it. But I mean, just for me, I don't know anything about design. So, you know, networking with printers and, you know, learning the ins and outs on how to set up a page for print specs is something that's really sort of, I don't know, it's incredible for me. However, in like a larger publication, you're obviously going to have someone there that knows exactly what to do and how to do it. They've probably already got a list of contacts that they can just, you know, go straight out to. With the young people involved, they obviously make a massive amount of network contacts. I've made an immense amount just in the short period that we've been, you know, working on the magazine. Whereas if you were going to, for example, if a magazine was going to have its own publicist, they will have their own contacts. The director would just go straight to the publicist and say, organise this interview with these people, and they just do it straight away. But then on this side, I guess I'm sort of learning. I'm sort of being my own publicist and meeting all these new contacts and stuff like
Wearing
that.
multiple hats.
Yeah. Get as much advice from other people as you can. I wouldn't have learned half of the things that I have learned if it wasn't for building relationships with people that I didn't really know. But then, maybe contacting them via phone or email and just telling them what I want to do, and just letting them know that I need their assistance with it, and then sitting down with a professional and asking for their advice and stuff. There's nothing better than getting advice in general, and from an industry professional, then, there's nothing you can do wrong with that. Word of mouth advertising is obviously the best advertising there is, and I think once someone that has a lot of contacts, once they know what you're doing and what it's all about, and if they really back the idea, then they will just, spread the word. I think and this might sound really silly, but I think that you might just need, you should just really be honest. Like, if you don't know something and you meet someone and you pretend that you know, then a lot of the time they can tell that you're just full of it. And they can tell that, you really don't have any idea what you're talking about. And I think that a lot of the time people are more receptive of you if you are totally upfront with them and honest and say, look, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm sure that, you do. Also, I suppose with the whole entrepreneur thing, I was quite lucky. I did a little crash course in small business management for free through a place in Australia. And that was so beneficial for me because it just taught me how to, write out proper business plans and marketing plans and stuff like that. So, any way that you can sort of learn that sort of stuff, go for it.